Mzansi. Welcome to it as Hollywoodbets once again brings you Game On with plenty to talk about in as far as pre-season as teams prepare for the upcoming Betway Premiership in the next season. I'm sitting alongside the two legends in Shane McGregor and Jerry Skosana. I am, of course, Caesar Mapena. And gents, let's get straight into it in talking about pre-season. Pirates fans have had plenty to be happy about with the way things look in pre-season. They start off with a 2-2 draw against Plymouth. They beat Sevilla, which is a very good win, 2-0, keeping a clean sheet. The only clean sheet, keep in mind, of pre-season. 1-1 against Granada, and then they lose 3-2 to Al Sadd, coming home in a 5-goal thriller. Having a look at that, goals scored, goals conceded, one clean sheet. What would you say about the way things fared for Pirates in pre-season right now?
Yes, Caesar, I think for me, it was a good showing to them for what they did in Europe. But my worry is, do we have to read too much on that when they come home in terms of the performance? Because we've seen the way they perform against the European teams. I mean, they started with the team from Wayne Rooney, Plymouth, and then they beat Sevilla, they draw, and then unfortunately the last game they lost. But for me, if you read on what they did in Europe, is it going to be something that will have an impact? Like South Africa, the players going to take that good showing and bring it here. Let's wait and see, because, sometimes things change from the players' perspective.
Isn't that the plan of pre-season, though? To go out there, make your mistakes, learn the lessons you need to learn for it to transfer to the upcoming season?
Yeah, yes and no, because, the most important thing is getting time into players, games into players. The time is the most important thing, to get your match fitness up, to get you sharper. Yeah. You can't read too much into some of these games.
Yeah.
Villa didn't play their first side. A lot of those players were still coming back from Euro, so they didn't play. You've got to look into things like that. But the most important thing is match time, fitness time, getting yourself match fit for the coming up. You must remember, they come back in and they go straight into the league, then into Africa Champions, So it's difficult to say this, but they have to get the game time into all those players. And then also just bring those players that you brought in and give them time and show them and let them learn and understand the way of the coach who wants to play.
Exactly on that point, I was going to talk about new arrivals. Already looking at social media, a few of the Pirates fans are excited, very excited about the new arrival, Gilberto, from out in Angola. He's looking like a man that already has them excited as that big signing, that marquee signing going into a big season. Then there's the likes of Talente Mbata, love his name, Talente Mbata, and Rasebusha from SuperSport United, Tabet as well as Muleleki. What do you think of the signings, Jerry? Let's start with you for Pirates, but more so Gilberto and this excitement around it.
Yeah, I think we're not going to look too much on these South African signees, because when you talk about a foreign signee, you're looking more of what is going to bring a team in. So, mawithatha nje uthi uyayihlazulula kuyoba inkinga ukuthi Gilberto, every supporter in Orlando Pirates ufuna something where he must score goals, because this is what he has shown. I mean, to me, when I was watching him on this pre-season tour, in the games that he has played, he looks good. He looks somebody that wanted to play. He didn't even show. He was from outside of this country, but he was playing more fluently. That's why I say, for him maybe to play a different style in Europe, is it going to make an impact when he comes here in South Africa? Is it going to show the same impact that he did when they were playing the friendlies? So it's something which we're going to look at. But the other players, they are from South Africa. They know how South African football is played. So it's going to be less pressure. But with Talent Mbata, to me, he was there playing for Pirates. I don't know if he's a new signing. How can it?
Well, they've secured the signing. It was on loan before.
Oh, they've secured the signing because he was on loan.
Yes.
So new signing, but the boy performed very well, because to me, honestly, he was the most prolific midfielder at Pirates. He was giving them.
So then it makes sense why they then signed him outright.
That's why they've signed him outright.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
It's good. What I saw of him, he's a good player, Gilberto. He's comfortable on the ball. He wants the ball. That's one thing I do like about him. He's always looking for the ball. He's always looking to get it. A lot of players don't do that. So for me, I think he'll do well for them. Let's just hope he gels in straight away, which it does look like he has. And he, like Jerry says, goes forward straight away and gets some goals from him early on.
And of course, it's vital for new players coming in, starting pre-season with the club and going into the season having gone through pre-season, which is vital for the new arrivals. But now let's look at Mamelodi Sundowns. Some supporters will look at some of their losses out abroad and think underwhelming. Again, you guys have said those results don't really mean too much, do they?
Well, for me, normally I would say that they don't mean too much. But if you have a look at last season, Sundowns went out of the country and they did well. And they won their games. They did very, very well. My worry is it's a new team. It's the whole new management, new coaches. Is this now letting them down? Do people know exactly what's happening? Do people know what their jobs are? It could be a bit of confusion there. And that's a little bit of a worry for me. You know, they are a good team. They've brought in some decent players as well. Let's just hope they hit the ground running. I'm not too sure it's going to happen. They might take a little bit of time and take time to gel again. So who knows? We'll see what happens come start of the season.
But for me, what I saw on social media, you know, the arrival of Falls. You know, I saw something at one of their training sessions, something where the players were all bemused and just listening, because it was just something new that he was bringing into the team in terms of the training. So it was something that came to me and said, you know, players now are starting to adapt to the new coach that is coming in. Is it gonna not disturb their fluent play that Rulani left at Mamelodi Sundowns? Let's see, because change of coaches also change the way players behave inside the field. So let's hope that won't have a bad impact on Sundowns and continuity will be there with Falls coming in.
Well, many have looked at Falls' past record in Botswana and here in South Africa and questioned whether he's the right man for Sundowns. Listen to Mike McCabe in an interview he did most recently. He spoke very highly of Romain Falls. He's still a young coach, so it'll be interesting to see how things pan out for him at Sundowns. So we continue to talk pre-season with both Shane McGregor and Jerry Skosana on the other side of this. Stay with Game On.
Check these guys. Let's show them how it's done. I see it. Let's have a
your feet like this.
Let's see how you play.
Your feet like this.
Welcome back to Game On, and well, as we did first segment, we continue to discuss the pre-season with many of the teams getting ready for the upcoming campaign. So just let's talk quickly SuperSport United. We've already discussed two of their players going over to Mamelodi Sundowns. We've also discussed Keegan Johannes joining Sundowns, and two other players, I beg your pardon, joining Orlando Pirates. SuperSport United and where they stand. They do have Vincent Pule coming to the side from Pirates, we need to mention. But are they a side that you consider to be maybe trying to make a run for a top 3 position, or are they now a side that's just looking to exist with many of their top players leaving at a consistent basis?
Yeah, for me, you know, I have a look at this, and you got to go back. I'll go to the English Premier League, and I always bring this up. There was Southampton, well, same kind of team. They brought players through and sold all the players off. Half the Southampton team were playing for Liverpool one stage. And what happened to Southampton? They got relegated, gone. They haven't made it back into Premiership. This is my big worry about SuperSport now. It's all good producing players and then selling them off year after year. There's going to come a time where you're not going to be able to bring in more players, bring in more youngsters, forced to play these youngsters because it's going to catch up with you. I just hope it hasn't caught up with them now. You know, that's my big worry. Yes, Gavin Hunt's a very good coach. He gets the best out of players, but you can only do it so many times before it catches up with you.
But for me, I just want to look at it this way to say, most of the time, if players goes to bigger clubs and then they don't make it good, they always come back. It happened with the captain, you know, Pasera from Kaizer Chiefs. He went back to SuperSport. It happened again with the defender from Tyson, Tyson. It's
Well, he went back to Kevin Hunt, so to speak. Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
And then Lipasa from Orlando Pirates, the striker. Kabuza from Orlando Pirates, the striker. Now it's Vincent Pule back to them. Hence, they've got a lot of youngsters that they give to those teams. So I want to know what kind of a team is SuperSport. Because they take all the rejects from bigger clubs, house them, and also produce youngsters that, it's for me, it's more like the Evil, Mandasbachi, like.
When you look at players like Tyson coming back to add experience, Pule coming back to work with Kevin Hunt again, they work together at Bidvest to add experience to a young SuperSport squad. Aren't those the type of players you would want, though, with that sort of experience, to add experience?
I agree with you, but you must remember what happened last season when those players were injured. Mm-hmm. We went through a bad patch. SuperSport. Are they a top 4 team for this year? I don't think so. And that's my honest opinion. I don't think they are.
Let's keep it moving. Kaizer Chiefs, 3 weeks out in Turkey. Some would say time in Turkey is time well spent for a group of players, maybe under pressure locally, just time away from the local eye. But then there's talk of the 5-2 win. Ranga scoring 4 goals in the 5-2 win. A striker that's already finding his feet in pre-season. Is it good for Kaizer Chiefs to have been away from the pressure in pre-season and already to have a man who's finding his feet and finding the back of the net?
Best thing for them that's happened. I mean, to go away and get away from the prior nights, to get away from the supporters, to get away from all the politics in South Africa. Mm-hmm. Best to get away. The big problem is coming back. They're going to have to hit the ground running. They're going to have to start winning games straight away. Chief supporters will not tolerate another season where they're not getting results. He's going to have to do it from day one, and that's going to be the big pressure. He's a good coach. Yeah. He knows his game. He's got players. He's got everything. They're bringing in players. He's going to have to hit the ground running. He's going to have to be successful from day one. Otherwise, we know it's going to happen.
Let me throw a spanner in the works then to you, Jerry. When you look at the players that have left, Dolly, experienced senior player, one could argue, Sitebe, again, another with experience in the PSL, Ngobo, and Tanti, international experience, plenty of experience in a winner in the local scene. Can't you argue some of those players could have been used as just experience in the change room? Same thing we're saying about Kevin Hunt and his SuperSport United side.
I think maybe the mentality of the new coach is different from us, how we look at things as South Africans. So for him maybe to release those players is because he has seen that he cannot utilize them. Yes, it can hamper some of the youngsters in terms of the experience that is next to them so that they can learn from these senior players. But if they all going, you know what happened with the Dove and the youngster from the left back that was roped in. They got injured there. Yeah. Are they going to come back into the team after they've healed? We don't know. But let's see what's going to happen tomorrow in their game against the Young FC in the Toyota Cup. It's where supporters will see what is happening. And that's where the pressure will be off, or it will be more pressure from the result that they need to get tomorrow.
I'm glad you mentioned the younger game, younger Africans or young Africans from Tanzania. Had the pleasure of watching them against Augsburg, in fact calling that game against Augsburg. Lost narrowly 2-1, but good game of football, a good footballing side. Will be a good test for Kaizer Chiefs, like you do say. But then Augsburg now playing against TS Galaxy, another side where, well, question marks as to their future from a leadership perspective, from a coaching point of view. But a side that's looked to go about it the right way in preparing for the upcoming season.
Yeah, but TS Galaxy is another SuperSport. That's the big problem, is they bring players through and then they sell them off. It's a selling club. It can only happen for so long until you get caught, until something happens, until you realize you made a big mistake. And for me, you know what, you can't be doing it year in, year out. Doesn't matter about pre-season tournaments. Younger's a good team. That game tomorrow is going to be brilliant. I can tell you that now. And that's why I said he's got to hit the ground running. If they don't win there, you're going to know. You're going to see all over social media. You're going to see the fans going mad. Back to normal. But going back to TS Galaxy, once again, they're another team. Stop selling players. If you want to do well in this league, you want to win things, keep your players and start competing.
I think they played Mbawane Swallows. I think they didn't give a good show. But I mean, we cannot judge them just for now because it's just the preseason. Maybe they just like looking at other players that are new coming into the team.
So It'll be interesting to see, of course, how TS Galaxy fare against Augsburg, the side from Germany. Are playing outside of Germany in pre-season for the first time. It's a tour for them, a first outside of Europe. And as far as Young and Kaizer Chiefs, if Young do walk away with the win, I think let's just all keep our cool and remember it's still pre-season. We continue with the game on the other side of this. We talk about the Jerry Skhosana Cup. Welcome back to Game On. Now, for any of the youngsters watching, and as far as rivalries go, earlier on we talked about coaches that make for good rivalries. There's also players that make for good rivalries. And right here in South Africa, there was no better pairing in the rivalry than Brian Baloyi and Jerry Skhosana, one for Kaizer Chiefs, the other for Orlando Pirates. Every time those two sides came together in the 90s, we talked about whether it would be Brian's day or Jerry's day. So both of the gentlemen join me here as we talk about football development and something a little special to both of you. I know both of you hold it close to your hearts. Jelana, for you, Jerry Skhosana Winter Games for Juniors is something that's special to you. It's been happening for a while. I was telling how, and it's still good to be in the past in developing youngsters.
Yeah, I think it's something which we in fact, I brought to Hollywoodbets because I started it 2012 because amongst estratini uzobona abantwana kwi-school holidays bedlala nje kuphela bayalwa kwenzakala into ezi-wrong, so I thought of bringing them together bazodlala because it's a school holidays.
Yeah.
So into enze ukuthi ngiqale ukuthi ngenze ukuthi kuzoba ne-under 11, under 13, under 15 because I wanted to accommodate everyone. But that also came where O'Brien came to Hollywoodbets as well.
Yeah.
And with the same idea that we had, we started like doing the Jerry Skhosana, Brian Baloyi schools tournament. I think you can like elaborate on that, and it's something which we are passionate about in terms of juniors because we know where we come from, both of us.
Yeah.
Basazi kuPirates neChiefs.
Sure.
Esikolweni isibancane is rival.
Good
friends.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our friendship comes a long way where we used to play against each other at school to a point where we played for the same team, you know, and in school when we played provincial tournaments with Alex Tembisa. So Alex Tembisa as well comes a long way. We've had a tournament, schools tournament, where it was called the Brian and Jerry tournament.
Sure.
Schools tournament where we had 4 schools from Alex and 4 schools from Tembisa playing against each other. And we had this tournament and supported by Hollywood Foundation. I mean, we did it for about 3 years until COVID. We stopped it during COVID, but we had this tournament. And just from that, I mean, conversations that we've had, especially when we talk about what are our problems in South Africa. The 2 biggest problems that we have in South Africa is strikers and goalkeepers.
And I believe you're doing something now, looking to improve goalkeepers as well.
Yes, I'm doing something now where idea we had was to have a goalkeepers and a strikers academy.
Sure.
And on certain days then, because goalkeepers, you need strikers to shoot.
Yeah, bro.
And strikers, they need
goalkeepers to save, yeah.
So we had this idea that one day we want to have a Brian Baloyi goalkeeper academy and a Jerry Skhosana strikers academy.
Okay.
And so that's something that is still very much in the pipeline. But right now, I'm very close to, launching my own goalkeeper, goalkeeper school, if you may say, and where we will start with doing coaching clinics and going around the country, starting in Gauteng. Very much in advanced stages, but my dream is to see that goalkeeper academy up against the Jerry Skhosana Strikers Academy.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be there just to report on that one after it's all said and done in telling the story. But, gents, the importance of gentlemen in your positions, where you've started off more Chappies Little League, we remember in our time, really, and went all the way through to the professional leagues, the national team, to give back with all that experience and all that you guys know. How important is that?
I think it is. It is very important. Yes, because that's how we grew up. There was something in terms of soccer tournaments that brought us together. You know, we also played the Super C, which took us to Midlands by then, which is it's now called Pietermaritzburg.
Sure.
We played there at the stadium, Harry Gwala, in the final against the likes of Mamelodi Sundowns Group. You know, Abu Fire Masilela, Abu Delate, Hlupi. We were still young.
Yeah.
You know, he was my keeper. I was the top goal scorer.
Talking 1991.
Imagine. We were still kids, so we know the importance. So we're lucky because we brand ambassadors to a company that is also looking at the juniors. You know, how do we nurture them to be better, you know, going forward. So this is an opportunity that we've got in terms of working with the Hollywoodbets, but obviously because of the juniors, we've got Hollywood Foundation that is being utilized. So I think what we're discussing with Brian, it's something that we want to see growing because a lot of clubs have got their own academies where a player, he moves, there would be a lot of hullabaloo about I started him there and there. So if they start from outside, like the way we grow up, it's easy for players to go to any team in the professional rank.
Tell you what, everyone is looking forward to the clash between the strikers and the goalkeepers from both your academies. Let's find out more about the Jerry Skosana Winter Games for Juniors, sponsored, of course, by Hollywood Foundation. Gents, let's have a look.
Every story has a beginning, one filled with hope and big dreams. Hope that the journey can see one fulfill their early promise and the outcome becomes something truly special. Every story has a legend, and it's an even better story when legends give back to those who have less. Because what is life without lending a helping hand? The Jerry Skosana Junior Games, which are powered by the Hollywood Foundation, provide such a platform for youngsters to begin their journey to the top of the beautiful game.
Well, when I started looking at this tournament, I mean, there were a lot of things when I was driving around because I was still a player then. When you drive around, you see these kids in the street, others fighting amongst each other, playing like in the middle of the street where they put the 2 poles in terms of the breaks. And I was like, it's the school holidays. And obviously these kids, there's nothing that they do. You know, they will be doing a lot of wrong things on the street because they don't have something that will group them together. After that, when I joined Hollywoodbets, I put the ideas to them. They came, they saw it happening, and they were more than happy.
Jerry was famously known as Legs of Thunder during his glittering career, and during those golden years, he received a lot of support from his people in Tembisa. That's one of the major reasons why he feels the need to give back and play a part in developing the next generation of young stars with the help of the Hollywood Foundation and the Jerry Skosana Foundation.
Where is it that I contribute? A lot of people gave support to me, especially in Tembisa. A lot of people were behind me. A lot of people were inspired by me. So now this is an opportunity to say, bring your kids so that I can nurture them to be what you saw when I grew up. So this is exactly my passion, to see most of the people, because most of the kids here, their fathers schooled with me. Some of them, we played together a football. So for me to do all of this for the future, it's more like building the community together to say, let's support each other, bring your kids, let's have a good drive of what we want to achieve.
So there you have it, a fun show indeed. We hope you at home have enjoyed it. We've looked at pre-season, including a bit of development as well, in looking at the future of the beautifully South African game. So, Sinbonga Nonke Makaya for taking the time to join us here on Game On. We'd also like to extend a special thank you to Brian Beloy, Jerry Skosana, as well as Shane McGregor, from myself, Sizo Mapena, and the rest of the team that is behind the scenes. Click, click, bang.